Hi there. In today's presentation, I'll be exploring the concept of health literacy and how it applies to the Australian curriculum levels F up to 10. I'll first explore the three levels of health literacy as outlined by Nutbeam and how each of these relates to the delivery of health and physical education in Australian schools, hereafter referred to as HPE. The definition of health literacy is contested amongst education researchers and is split amongst two major strains of thought. Wolf, Parker and Ratson see health literacy as someone's ability to gather, process and understand health-related information like health brochures, food labels and public policy documents. The definition aligns with the US Institute of Medicine's. However, this is more of an individualistic concept of health literacy and fails to consider the larger social influence that health literacy can have. For researchers like Nutbeam, health literacy is more than just an understanding of health-related resources, but has a much broader purpose of developing critical analysis skills, advocacy and empowerment. The Australian curriculum for HPE is broken into two strands: movement and physical activity, and personal, social and community health. The development of health literacy is predominantly occurring in the latter. Almost immediately, we can see how the definition from Wolf, Parker and Ratson becomes problematic, as it only really addresses personal health. While personal health relates to Nutbeam's theory of health literacy, it only really aligns with his first level, which he terms as functional literacy. Nutbeam's other two levels, which are interactive and the critical stages of health literacy, require a deeper level of cognitive engagement and development. Functional literacy is the first level of Nutbeam's health literacy theory and refers to the more practical skills that are required to become health literate. Functional literacy is covered within the curriculum in a number of cross-curricular dimensions. The development of reading, writing, comprehension, speaking and listening skills in English, and the existence of literacy as a general capability both contribute to students being able to interpret health information when given to them in various forms. Within the HPE curriculum, functional literacy is much more health focused. Foundation students are expected to identify actions that promote health, safety and well-being, while students in years 3 and 4 are expected to discuss and interpret health information messages in the media and on the internet. Once students begin to move from the primary into a high school context, the content descriptors begin to draw away from merely discussing and interpreting information into Nutbeam's second level of health literacy, which, as its namesake suggests, is a lot more interactive. In Nutbeam's second stage of health literacy theory, there's a movement away from a more individualistic approach to health literacy into a more social and community-based understanding. In this level, Brown and Alfrey describe this as being more about making inferences from information, so one can then apply such information within social and community contexts. We see this level in the content descriptors during high school years, as level 7 and 8s are expected to investigate and select strategies that promote health, safety and well-being for both themselves and others. This then transforms in year 9 and 10, as students are expected to plan and evaluate new and creative interventions that promote their own and others' connection to community, as well as natural and built environments. Here we can witness how Nutbeam's second level of health literacy, which embodies a much greater social and community aspect, is applied within the Australian curriculum. The third level of Nutbeam's health literacy theory is the critical stage. Here we see this deeper cognitive function development throughout the schooling years within the HPE curriculum, as well as being represented in the general capability of critical and creative thinking. Here, students are asked to critically analyse and apply health information from a range of sources to health decisions and situations during year levels 9 and 10. By developing students' critical analysis skills, this will allow them greater ability to interpret health information and make better decisions in their adult life. If delivered effectively, this Australian curriculum sets a strong framework that coincides with Nutbeam's health literacy model. As students progress through the levels of primary and high school, they're exposed to higher order thinking skills that requires them to analyse information critically. This three-tier approach effectively addresses the first aim of the HPE program, as students learn to access, evaluate and synthesise information to take positive actions that protects and enhances and advocates for their own and others' health. The second component of today's presentation focuses on the benefits and limitations of integrating health literacy into school-based HPE programs. A major positive of integrating health literacy into school-based HPE programs is that students will become more active and informed participants within the democratic process. Jensen argues that what he describes as democratic health education allows students to collect, analyse, think critically, and act upon information which will then navigate their political decision making. Health is a major component of any political party's policy platform, and therefore individuals need the skills to think critically about health information to effectively make democratic decisions. As students develop towards voting age, they will be better prepared to view political advertisements, policy brochures, and political debate, while also better understanding ways to influence policy through political activism. Alfrey and Brown argue that democratic health education can be effectively delivered through Nutbeam's 3 tiers of health literacy model, if implemented correctly and if given equal consideration within the HPE program. The second benefit of successful integration of health literacy into the HPE program is empowerment. The positive influence that health education has on addressing gender and socioeconomic inequalities has been repeatedly evidenced by researchers such as Alfrezi, Sekina and Tayebi, and Nutbeam himself in 2008. Nazir, Roms and Janssen highlight how educating young people about healthy relationships and sexual health can lead to a shift in power dynamics within social hierarchies. Within Australia, marginalised, low socioeconomic groups are more likely to have children at a much younger age, and therefore less available time to find work and pull themselves and their families out of poverty. Research conducted by Bergen and Walker highlight this as a systemic issue in Australia and something that can be fixed through education. By integrating health literacy into the HPE program, young people would be more informed and therefore more empowered to make decisions about their own sexual health, relationships and their body. Being better informed allows for lower socioeconomic groups to lead healthier lives, which then allows for greater access to health resources and more socially favourable outcomes. The first limitation of integrating health literacy into the HPE program that I'd like to discuss is that some argue it's a knee-jerk reaction to societal concerns and anxieties. Curriculum, as highlighted by McDonald, is a politically contested space, and schools are already expected to be the answer to many of 21st century issues. Hayward highlights that an unsustainable global economy, breakdowns in democratic processes, and increasing economic inequalities are all issues that schools are expected to resolve. Now trying to integrate health literacy as a major component of the HPE program to try and combat what many describe as a pandemic of non-infectious diseases such as diabetes appears to be another response from policymakers which puts greater responsibility onto schools. Kane argues that effective health literacy education can only be achieved when the content is tailored to young people's prior knowledge and beliefs, coupled with their future needs and expectations. Therefore, greater collaboration is needed between students and curriculum designers. The other major limitation of health literacy is what Alfrey and Brown describe as a dichotomous relationship between health education and physical education. This is problematic for 2 reasons. Firstly, for effective integration of health literacy into the program, both health and physical education should be weaved into each other. When one is taught only in the classroom and the other only on a court or oval, the connection between the two may be lost. Secondly, some argue displacement theory, in that integration of health literacy will take away from students' time being physically active and learning motor skills. Similar arguments have been made with displacement theory, saying that allotted screen time can take away from children's time outside and being physically active. However, Burns and Gottschalk argue that the overall evidence of displacement theory is pretty weak. In summary, the theory that time spent on health education takes away from physical development and physical play doesn't really hold weight. This presentation has explained what Nutbeam's 3 levels of health literacy model is and how it is applied within the Australian curriculum, Foundation to 10. I've also pointed out 2 reasons that having effective integration of health literacy in HPE can have a positive effect on democratic process and empowerment. I've also pointed to 2 challenges that arise from health literacy integration, and these revolve around ensuring the proper influences and personnel are there to design the curriculum and not just reacting to government anxieties. The other challenge was the weaving of health and physical education, which must occur for proper integration, as the connection between health literacy and physical health needs to be established.